The path to basketball was not easy for BYU's Frank Bartley. The sophomore guard from New Orleans has had to overcome many obstacles in his life. But with his family by his side, he has been able to beat the odds and succeed. Here's Amanda Blackwell with the story.
As a child in New Orleans, Frank Bartley wasn't on track to be the athlete he is today.
I was short and fat. I'd never played sports. My parents owned a catering business, and I was always eating there. So you could just imagine, I was not the smallest kid.
He was also beginning to fall in with the wrong crowd.
The crime was that bad. So my parents were really strict on who I hung out with and stuff. And I hung out with some people they didn't know I hung out with. I was hanging out with people I had no business hanging out with.
But on August 29, 2005, life in New Orleans would completely change for everyone, including the Bartley family and an 11-year-old Frank.
I remember Sunday, it just so happened to return on TV. And I'll never forget, his name was Bob Brett from New Orleans. He was a weatherman. And he was screaming at people in New Orleans to get out. He said, get out of New Orleans. This is an emergency. You're not safe here. So right there, we only had 2 hours to pack all our stuff, and we just left.
With Hurricane Katrina looming, the Bartleys packed what they could fit in their SUV, leaving everything else behind, and traveled the normally 50-minute trip to Baton Rouge. This time, it took nearly 7 hours. They arrived safely at Frank's aunt's home, where they stayed with 22 total relatives, and together, they grieved for their city.
It was sad, and then I had to watch my parents and my family, my other relatives, just sit there and cry and stuff. We had a lot of people stuck in the Superdome that we knew.
It was a couple of months before Frank was able to go back to his childhood home in New Orleans. When he got there, it was hardly recognizable.
The grass was just about tall as me. We found all kind of stuff just sitting in the lawn. We had 12 feet of water in the house, and the ceiling was like right here, and the water line was right here in the house. So it got everything. All the rooms were destroyed. The beds was flipped over. It was crazy.
There was little the Bartleys were able to salvage from the home, but their strength as a family never faltered through the tragic ordeal.
If it was a different family or a family that wasn't together, they wouldn't have made it. I'm really blessed to have two great parents, and I had 3 other sisters, and I'm the only boy. And they made sure that we were safe by any means.
The family was tasked with starting a new life in Baton Rouge. And for Frank, there was a newfound interest in sports.
Me going to Baton Rouge changed my life. That opened the door for me to really realize what I can do. And I really saw it, I can do this. I play whether football, baseball, basketball, track, anything. So I committed myself to playing sports. I think these coaches really cared about me as a player and me as a person and trying to help me be the best that I can be. And that motivated me to be the best that I can be.
Bartley felt as though the coaches and teams in Baton Rouge truly had his best interests at heart, and it was that same feeling that drew him here to BYU.
I got recruited by a bunch of schools, and I noticed none of these coaches really came to see me play. Coach Pope and Coach Rose, they stayed a whole week of practice and literally called me every single day. They're just good people, and that feels like family back home.
Now in his second year with the Cougars, Bartley's team not only recognizes his potential on the basketball court, but his strength off of it.
It's got to be a traumatic experience, and something that I think Frank can relate to as far as when tough things happen, when he gets into tough situations that he needs to get out of. I think it's one of those things that I went through that, and I can get through just about anything now.
He just handles obstacles, and he handles things, and he kind of ebbs and flows with things and adjusts and embraces things and is able to grow from them, I think. And that's definitely something that when you have something as life-altering potentially as something like Hurricane Katrina, something that, again, just gives you that perspective.
For Frank Bartley, family is where he draws his strength. He's not only found a family at BYU, but has all of Baton Rouge rooting for him too.
If my mom was watching right now, she'd probably crying, honestly. My mom is so proud of me. My dad is so proud of me. My dad is probably crying just as much as my mom. They're so proud of me. And I go back home in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, wherever. I got the whole city behind me.
For the WCC This Week, I'm Amanda Blackwell.